live. Appreciate your support. Thanks for coming out. You know the deal. In a little bit, I'm going to ask you what you're drinking. Right now, what I want to talk about is the latest short, The Moment of Truth. Got some a little bit more to discuss about the moment of truth. A little transparency. There's more to that story than I just shared on that one short. And it was an interesting post because you saw, those of you who did see the short, a lot of information on it, a lot of feedback on the moment of truth. So those of you who haven't gone yet, pay attention to those. Read all of them because it's very, very interesting. But once again, welcome. Welcome. It is Saturday night, and we are going to discuss a few things. One is the short I just did on the moment of truth. We're going to talk about owning land here in America, especially for you veterans and you patriots and everyone associated with a veteran or a patriot, and the importance of owning land here in America. And depending on where you live, obviously the cost of living is different in all 50 states. So something to think about, consider early on, midway through your career, and later on in life. So we're American. Need to own a piece of the land that we defend. So once again, welcome. Let me know. First question I'm going to ask you is what you're drinking. Coffee is in order for me. I drink a lot of coffee, probably too much. Michael's Drones, good to see you, brother. Always great to see you. What are you drinking? Over at Michael's Drones, RCs and Knives. Good to see you, brother. Bryce Wilborg, I'm in. American Legion has the Buddy Poppies. Nice. Gunner Sergeant, USMC retired. URAH. Semper Fi, my friend. Water, Jason Jensen. So I mentioned water a few times on here. I've talked about it a little bit. The gunny is drinking water, drinking coffee as well. I don't drink enough water. I just don't. I don't know why, and it's been since as long as I can remember. And it's not just because I don't like the taste, and I'm certainly not a water snob. I can drink water from the hose when I'm hot. I can drink it from the tap. So it's not just a taste thing, I don't think. I don't know, something's wrong with my body. I don't require, I guess, as much water as I guess as people do. And I know everybody's body is different, so it might not just be me. I just do not drink water. I remember going on patrols, loading up 5-6 canteens of water in a Camelback and an extra water bottle in the cargo pocket, wherever, coming back from a 4 or 5 hour patrol in the summer, in the middle of the day, and having more than half of it still on my body. So I was carrying all this extra weight for no reason. But still in the back of my mind, I was nervous about dehydrating. So I would always bring it. But I would normally bring it back, not purposely, and it helped. It was good too because I could share my water for people that did hydrate way more than I did. But even in sports, I remember the water breaks. Couldn't wait for them. Of course, I would go for a water break just to get a break from whatever drill we were doing in football. But I never drank that much. Not smart. Not a good idea. I need to drink more water, and I certainly will. As it comes, it's summer now, so it's getting blazing hot, depending on where you're from. All right, Zapper says, I like your haircut. Era, do it myself. Navy man here from the high desert. Semper Fi, shipmate. Glad you can join us, John Hayes. Victorville, you don't like Victorville? Apparently, AW. What do you think of Cody Alford? You got to tell me a little more about Cody Alford. I don't know. Michael's Drones. All right, so the moment of truth short I just did. A lot of feedback on it. It was awesome. It was great, and it was a time in boot camp. Again, in the very beginning, those of you who are getting ready to go, pay attention and watch that short. it's the moment of truth. And how I remember it is the drill instructors really scared the heck out of me. Like, we know you're lying. We know you're keeping secrets. We know. Primarily about drugs, I think, is what the majority of a lot of the comments were. I know the recruiters had the experimental one-time marijuana use, cocaine use. That was a kind of a buzzword when I was enlisting anyway. If you tried it once, you put on there experimental. But there's one last opportunity to come clean in boot camp, and it's the moment of truth. I didn't remember exactly what day. A couple of you said it was right after haircuts, and I still don't remember, but it was in the first couple of days during receiving barracks. So still, you're completely lost. Those you may remember, I didn't know a thing about any of the services prior to going. I didn't know the difference. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into at all. Excuse me, let me back up. Even prior to enlisting or becoming a Poolee, when you're filling out the tons of forms and paperwork, I had not a great driving record. I started driving at 16, like most everybody. I had kind of a heavy foot, and I had a fast car. It was kind of a piece of junk, but it was fast. So I got a few tickets. Nothing to be proud of. Running stop signs, running red lights where I lived, and anyhow. So when I remember filling out those forms, there was only 5 spots for your driving record, and I remember telling the recruiter there might be a couple more than 5. He said, just put the 5 most serious ones, the speeding, whatever. So I did what he said. So here I am months and months later at MEPS in Oakland, California. And MEPS today is different than it was back then. I know because I went to MEPS with my daughter recently, almost 6 years ago now. But it is a lot different than it was when I went in. And I'm sure when a lot of you went in. A little chaotic, loud. I remember it being loud, and of course I got the 03 pickup from my recruiter. A kid was already in a car, in his car, another Poolee who was crying. My family was there at 3 in the morning. They just having my recruiter pull me from their grip into the car, drive to Oakland MEPS. A couple hours into it, I had fallen asleep to be awoken by a giant gunnery sergeant. Country boy. I just remember he had to be 8 feet tall. Kicked me in the feet, woke me up, and said, "Yep, all right, easy. First one to be gone. Lying to us. You're lying on your driving record. What are you trying to hide? If you got more tickets than you said, and that'd be the fastest way, quickest way to find yourself in jail." So of course, it scared the heck out of me. I asked him, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You have more than these 5." And I tried to explain that to him, yes. But there's even more. So my brother is only 3 years older than me, and he hadn't a great driving record at the time. He used my name and Social Security a couple of times when he got a ticket. I didn't know about that. So I gave MEPS everything that I knew. Went to boot camp. There was one ticket I got in Hawaii on my senior trip from high school on a moped. In Hawaii, ran a stop sign or a stoplight or something. Cop pulls me over, and I told him, I'm a high school graduate and getting ready to go to boot camp. As soon as I get back to California from this trip, he told me, "Don't worry about it. Not a problem." Come to find out years later, he actually did write the ticket though. So that was my moment of truth worry. One, the gunny scared me. And then the follow on it, that just kept popping up in the back of my head. So on the moment of truth, everyone's yelling at you, moment of truth, moment of truth. This is it, moment of truth. I got in the line. And the rest I told in the short. But I get in there and said, "Sir, this recruit," I don't remember if we knew how to talk yet or not, but I got a speeding ticket, or I got a failure to stop at a stop sign ticket in Hawaii. He went off on me, trying to get out of training for a stop sign ticket. You out of your, mind, get the, out of here and get back to your training platoon. So all good. A little more to that moment of truth story. Excuse me. So to see some of these moment of truth stories, again, those you getting ready to go in, know that that is, and I think primarily, I'm guessing we had a fraudulent enlistment. This guy was from I don't know where, from Jamaica or something, and his paperwork wasn't legit. A couple days into, once we got dropped to our platoon, they called him out, and they pulled him out, and he never came back. Who knows? I don't know if it was his fault. He was trying to get one over, or there could just be some kind of errors. A lot different now. I know MEPS is, again, run a lot different with today's technology. I got to think there isn't any of those. All right, so that was my moment of truth story. So again, let's see who's here. Chime in. I was trying to watch the chat as I was telling that moment of truth story. Let's see who's here. And again, thank you everybody for coming. It is Saturday night. Thanks for spending your Saturday night with the SFMF team. Appreciate it. I know it's going to be getting hotter and hotter. That's why I like to always ask what you're drinking. I do drink a lot of coffee, and I make that excuse. Well, you make coffee with water, but I know that's not enough. I need to, especially as the heat gets up. So those of you coffee drinkers, what kind of coffee do you drink, and what's your favorite? John McJunkin, good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us. What kind of coffee do you like? I think I said it in the beginning, I'm not a coffee snob. I'll drink Starbucks if I have to. I don't need to. I like 7-Eleven. I like truck stop coffee. It doesn't really matter to me. I do use creamer. I'm not a straight black guy like the tough guys are. I do like some creamer. No sugar, though. Diego, ship out 28th this month, Paris Island. How can I reach out to you for questions? Instagram, brother. Diego, reach out on Instagram. Find me or drop it right here. And definitely, I would love to answer any questions that you have on the 28th. That's coming up. So hopefully you've been PTing. The rework says, should I become a Ranger or a Green Beret? How about a Marine Recon? Mr. Stay Brown, New Mexico Pinion Coffee. I haven't heard of that. Again, I'm not going to know if there's so you got some crazy coffee out there. I'm not going to know them. I like Dunkin' Donuts. It's very, very good if I have my choice. John McJunkin says, straight black, old man, it's all coffee. Turpentine, right? Isn't that what they called it back then? I do black every now and then. And you know, I started in drinking coffee in the Marine Corps. I hadn't drinking it. I'd never tasted coffee until, was it school? I think I was in school. Or it was 29 Palms for the first time. Carlos Diaz, how are you, Sergeant Major? Seems to be a minute since I caught a live session. So we're glad you're here, Carlos. Semper Fi, my friend. JTB, 1046, engineers up. Wendy Birdsong, you put whipped cream in your coffee? It's probably pretty good. We're in a field operation in 29 Palms in the winter. It was freezing cold. Me and a couple other PFCs standing around waiting for a working party. And we were freezing our butts off. And these old guys, I'm sure they're prior service Marines, retired Marines, older gentlemen outside this Quonset hunt. And they open the door and say, get in here, you three. There's three of us. And he's like, what are you doing out there, sir? We're told to wait here, working party. And they saw we were shivering, freezing cold. And they made 3 little cups of coffee with cream and sugar and said, here, drink this. This will warm you up. It was the best coffee I've ever had in my life because I'd never had it before. But I fell in love with it for a couple different reasons. We were cold, freezing our butts off, didn't know what we were doing, what we were getting ourselves into. But again, we were inside the Quonset hunt. It was nice and warm. They had a little fire going in that coffee. I'll never forget that day. Thanks to those gentlemen that definitely set us up. Marine Raider, that's another one, rework. Go for it, Marine Raider. Start out infantry, go 03, and then work your way into the Raiders or recon, excuse me, and then see from there. Marine Corps boot camp, you'll be able to tell at boot camp what you're getting yourself into. Sean H, first time live session I follow for my son's interest, age 12 and 14, wanting to be Marines. Semper Fi, Sean, keep it in the family, brother. Keep watching and let them comment, see if they have any questions. Still pretty young. They sound like young Marine age or JROTC when they get to high school. The more you know before you go, you know that, the better. Really want to do raiders on bad guys, raids on bad guys. I've always been interested, but I'm only 18. You're ready to go, rework? 18. You sign the papers yourself. You're ready now. Make sure you're in shape. Talk to your local recruiter. Go for it. Carlos Diaz says, the last one was when you tried to do a live session on rifle and YouTube and JP'd you. Yes, you remember that? Man, I was so upset. I was just so excited to do that one. Brand new rifles, wanted to show everybody my first hunting rifle ever. So I was very excited to do that until I got NJP'd by YouTube. 24-hour restriction. Dang. We need to go back to do some hunting stuff on that without the rifle, of course. Maybe I'll have a picture of it. I can just show you what it looks like. Semper Fi, rework. Go for it, brother. Again, the options are endless. But do your research. Talk to people. Talk to what'd you ask about? Army Rangers. Yeah, talk to those guys as well. Obviously, we're pretty Marine biased here for all the right reasons, but talk to people, find out, see what best fits your desires, what you want to do. And good on you for wanting to join the service and serve your country. So awesome. John McJunkin, lots of names for the old mess hall coffee, shoe shine. Yes, asphalt grinds, devil dog sweat. So many from back then. Yes. Turpentine, I say, because that's from the song. Looks like muddy water and tastes like turpentine. Diego, is it true they can change your MOS in boot camp because of your IST PFT score? I didn't know it was because of the IST or the PFT score. I didn't know that's a reason to change your MOS, but I know they can, yes, change your MOS in boot camp. Mine was changed in boot camp, so I know for a fact that they can, and I think it's still today. The reasons they change it, that may be different. I don't know about that, because especially the IST, because you're going to improve your PFT score throughout boot camp. That's interesting. Does anyone know that? Can they change your MOS in boot camp because of your IST or PFT score? Okay. They can change it. Again, I know they can change it, but the reason behind it, not too sure. Shanae, so great videos. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. Definitely keep us motivated. It keeps us motivated as well. And everyone on the channel, you see some of the comments that we get. It is that community that we're trying to build. So ask your kids right now what kind of questions they have. I don't have all the answers, but I'm sure someone in the comment section, some of our subscribers and followers definitely have the questions. I think it's the stories that really probably helps. But you know as well as I do and everyone on here, you can describe boot camp from the moment you get off the bus till the day you graduate. You can describe it in detail. But until you go there, until you experience it, you're not going to get the full picture. And you get some kids say boot camp was easy. I wanted more. I wanted to be thrashed more. I like these, the one that say, well, I got beat up in boot camp every other day, butt stroked by my drill instructor every Wednesday. And so it's hard to get the full truth sometimes. Everyone wants to say, well, when I was in, we used to. I don't believe a lot of those, and we tend to exaggerate a little bit. I never got beat in boot camp. I got elbowed a few times, and nothing. There was no assault, and if there was, it came out, and somebody was getting in trouble. I saw drill instructors who accidentally assaulted a recruit, and he was gone. So the SOP, I just had this conversation with somebody. The drill instructor SOP, I'm guessing it was probably the same when boot camp started to today. Minor adjustments, cell phones, technology, social media. There's changes that change with time, but what you can call a recruit, the times you can touch a recruit, those things, they can't change. Drill, ceremonies, Marine Corps history, customs, courtesies, those don't change. So the SOP on recruit training hasn't changed. And there's a funny one, quick one for you. When I was a drill instructor, had a great series commander. He was new. I hadn't been down there for a while. I think might even been a senior drill instructor by now. And he was a new series commander. So like a good Marine officer, he was following us and listening and observing and asking questions. Can you do this and can you do that? Is it okay for a recruit or a drill instructor? Tons of questions. Captain Paulie at the time. Got a couple stories about him. But one, I had left, we going somewhere, we were in a hurry. I was thrashing some recruits, of course, on our way out, a couple in the pit, a couple on the quarterdeck, and must have had time to kill. Got pretty angry that day for whatever reason. By the time we got outside and left, I believe we went to a class because I was able to come back to the house for a minute. Put him in the classroom. DIs are watching him. Came back to the house probably to get a drink of water or something. And there's little yellow sticky notes, about 3 or 4 of them. One in the mirror in the head. There's one on my desk, one on the phone. And one of them said, "Wow, senior drill instructor, I didn't realize the SOP changed. When did they add pig to one of the names you can call a recruit?" I know it's name, billet, recruit, but pig definitely wasn't on there. That was a very professional way of telling me, hey, put it back in the box, do what you're supposed to do. So the rules are there. And again, I don't think they've changed much, if at all. And yes, I think when I was there, we had to recertify on the SOP every 2 years, maybe every year. I don't remember. Carlos Diaz says, "I can truly say that I got punched so hard in my chest that it felt my SDI fist hit the wall to my chest." So now I did, and this was a long time ago. My SDI, my senior drill instructor, punched me in the chest, actually more like the sternum. I'd be interested to see what you did, Carlos. What did you do to make him do that to you? Because it's your fault, whatever it was. Mine was the high five story. If you remember, it was the PFT. I think it was the final PFT, and I killed it on the crunches or something. And he asked me, "What? How many did you get?" 100, sir. I maxed it out. He's like, 100, and went to high five me. Of course, my senior drill instructor wants to give me a high five. I stood up, went to high five him. Of course, he dug down, hit me in the sternum. Said, you don't ever high five the senior drill instructor. What's wrong with you? So I wouldn't consider that abuse, but he definitely got one in on me. Lost my breath a little bit. Do not the cat. Wait, what was your rank again? I'm a Marine. Do not the cat. John McJunkin says, "I think that our Corps is doing some the same things, but that things are more geared towards using psychology to motivate recruits rather than only physical punishments." I think so too, John. And here's why I think that. Even as I was leaving the depot, and I know especially now with McMap training, we talked about the Marine Corps martial arts. There's classes in there on moral courage and history lessons, and there is more. Again, even when I was down there, it was a long time ago, but we would have discussions. The senior drill instructor would take his cover off and actually sit down with the boys and discuss morals and ethics and for the man, man rules and things. Open the door for a lady, standing up when you shake hands, looking eye to eye to someone that you're speaking to. So I think you're right. More of the psychology and the moral compass of young men, which I think is great because it does seem like we're missing some of that. Okay, do not the cat. I am not a CSM. That's a command sergeant major. That's Army. A Marine sergeant major. Same thing though, yes, E9. Our rank insignia is different. Do not the cat. Let me know if you know the difference between an Army sergeant major and a Marine sergeant major. Pendragon, good to see you, brother. As soon as your DI grabs you, all you can do is hope his jiu-jitsu is as good as his drill and you go flying. Yeah, so that would be safe. Anderson O, IT time, better PFT score, and realizing you are stronger than you initially think. How about IT? It got easier, right, as boot camp went on. Your IT got easier? No, trick question. You got stronger, right? And again, as a recruit, I remember it didn't mess with me that much. And even as a drill instructor later on, I remember it's like the tough ones they're wanting to get IT'd. So that's when drill instructors get creative and make it miserable and make them roll in the sand to get sand all down your trousers and in your blouse. And now you just want to make it miserable for them. But the physical fitness part, you're getting stronger every day. You're doing things that you hadn't done ever or that intensely. So you are definitely getting stronger. Gian Palacio, veteran here, re-enlisting as infantry at 32 years old. I'm making a lot of money in the civilian world, but can never fill the hole leaving the military left. Amen, brother. Semper Fi, and good on you. Gian, please keep up with us. Keep us posted on your journey. 32-year-old joining the infantry. Again, that's awesome. I'm not 32 years old anymore, but I would definitely like to go back to the infantry. And money's definitely not the only motivator, so good on you. Yes, fortunate to be able to say that. Money's never motivated me to do anything in life, and that's helps, again, with the community like this. Motivation is the motivator. Serving is the motivator. Do not the cat, you don't know the difference? Army Sergeant Major, 3 stripes and 3 rockers, or 3 chevrons and 3 rockers. Marine Corps Sergeant Major, 3 stripes or 3 chevrons on top and 4 rockers down below. That's the difference. The Army, they both have Army Sergeant Major has a star in the middle, but if they're a Command Sergeant Major, that's when they have the wreath in the star, I believe. So an Army Sergeant Major and a Command Sergeant Major, they can both be in the same unit, right? Like the Marine Corps, we have the Master Gunnery Sergeant and the Sergeant Major. So the Sergeant Major of the unit is the technical expert of that field. So if it's in a Motor T battalion or regiment, the Sergeant Major would be the technical expert for his Motor T guys. The Command Sergeant Major is the senior enlisted advisor to the commander. So both E9s, but one is senior to the other one. The Command Sergeant Major, the CSM, is senior to the Sergeant Major. And I think they can do, Army, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you can be a Command Sergeant Major and go to another unit and not be a Command Sergeant Major. You would go back to that MOS that you came from. Or you can stay a Command Sergeant Major, I'm not sure. Marine Corps is the same way, except we call them the Master Gunnery Sergeant. And we've talked about that a couple of times. So the Sergeant Major of a unit is the Sergeant Major. There's only one. So although we don't call him the Command Sergeant Major, he is the Command Sergeant Major. The technical expert is the Master Gunnery Sergeant. Still E9s, both E9s, Sergeant Major is a senior enlisted advisor to the commander. The Master Gunner Sergeant is the technical expert of that field. I think the recent post I just did is which one would you want or do you want, and how does it get? The Marine Corps decides the best Marine for that position. Starts at E8, of course, but you can ask and hope and wish all you want for either one. It's going to be the needs of the Marine Corps is going to come first. Mission accomplishment. Trey Bach, one more time. The last time I watched you live, your daughter was promoted to sergeant. Yes, Trey Bach. That was a live we did for my daughter's promotion. I was blessed to be able to be there and read her warrant and promote her. So it was definitely an awesome day. Thanks for joining us, Trey Bach. Okay. Yeah, again, thank you all so much. The comments, I love it. If I miss it, I'm not gaffing you off, I promise. It's too fast for me. Please bring it again. If it's a question, put 3 question marks in front of it so I know right away it's a question, and we'll hit that so we can all kind of answer that together. But if I miss it, please bring it up again. Yes, Do Not the Cat says, I remember your videos about it with the staff NCOs. I think we need to revisit that too. We can go do the, everyone's been asking us, actually we're going to do the officers first. We haven't done that 01 through 010. And they all, and that's with the warrant officers. I know the warrant officers in the Marine Corps and Army are different. Not the pay grade's the same in all the services, but they kind of have a different job. Our warrant officers, Marine Corps warrant officers, cannot be pilots. I know in the Army they can. That's a very, very cool program. We have a very close friend that did that program, and it's pretty amazing. I don't know if the Marine Corps will ever do it. That did come up. I don't see why it wouldn't. Again, the best Marine for the job, okay, regardless of anything. If he can fly, he or she should be allowed to fly. Carlos Diaz says, go Mustangs. What is a Mustang? Does everyone know what a Mustang is? And I think it's with all the services as well. Prior enlisted, and then you convert to become an officer. And there's many programs to do that. John Junk says, take what your drill instructor impart on you, apply them throughout your career, and you will sustain the United States Marines as the strongest force for peace in the world. Amen, brother. I concur 100%. Gary Morton, hi from Victoria. Good to see you, Gary. Welcome back, buddy. I remember watching the ceremony. Yes, Jesus is King. Rework. Do Not the Cat. Warrant Officer 5 are so rare in the Army. They seem more rare in the Marines. They are. I've known 2, and I've been around for decades. 2 CUWO5s. They were both gunners, Marine gunners in the infantry, so they're even more rare, but they are. Anderson Ho says, tell your daughter to go MECEP or PLC. Amen, I will, and I wish I could screenshot that right now, but I think she is. I think she wants to. She definitely wanted to enlist and do the enlisted things. She wants to be a drill instructor. She wants to do all the things Marine related that she can prior to becoming an officer, and she'll do well at that also. But she'll figure it out for herself when that time comes. But again, she wants to be a drill instructor. Maybe I want her to be a drill instructor, but she does as well, and she'd do fantastic. Mustangs are enlisted to officers. Yes, sir. Do Not the Cat. And they, again, a bunch of different routes. After E5, and with you put in a package, college is required eventually. It is a warrant that you receive from the Commandant of the Marine Corps that makes you an officer. But you're a warrant officer, not a commissioned officer. So kind of confusing, especially as the lower rank enlisted. I never knew what it was. I met a first Chief Warrant Officer 3. This was back when they called all warrant officers gunners. They don't anymore. I didn't understand what he was. I knew I called him sir. And he, Gunner Webb, decades ago in Okinawa, he pretty much did whatever he wanted to do is kind of what I saw. And sure enough, I think that's their job description. They do whatever they want to do. They're in between. They're not enlisted. They're not commissioned officers. They are a rare breed. And I've known some pretty awesome warrant officers and chief warrant officers. Rick Sanchez says, hello, Sarnt. That's a funny one too. So in my early videos, that came up, Sarnt, first Sarnt, Master Sarnt, Sergeant Major. And I think I got the most comments like from the Army, maybe. I think, does the Army, is it an Army thing where they pronounce it better? Sergeant. Yes, first Sergeant. I only know that from Forrest Gump. Yes, drill sergeant, but I never even noticed. And then I started listening to other people. And I think it's more of a first sergeant, sergeant major, sergeant major, sergeant major. I think it's just more of a, I don't know, speed thing, time saver. But from those videos, so I appreciate some were bagging on me, some were hating on me, or some were laughing at me. It was very, very entertaining, some of the comments. So when you said it right now, hey, Sarnt, it's definitely noticeable now. It's something that I do think about now, and I had never, ever in my life ever even thought that was a thing. Do not the cat. Let's see. Thoughts on Army Company Commander going to Marine Infantry as a PFC? I saw that. My thoughts on it, more power to him. URAH, Semper Fi. That's what I think. That was my first initial thought on that. Army Company Commander, was he a company commander? He was a captain? I think so. And he's enlisting into the Marine Corps. Enlisting. So he's going from company commander from 03 pay, which is a lot, to a PFC, which is not a lot. So goes to show you, he's not money driven, obviously, and that motivates the heck out of me. So my thoughts on it, more power to him. I want to follow his story. That's amazing. Truly is amazing to me. And he wasn't feeling it in the Army. And people change services often. So whatever it was that he was looking for as a young man going into the service, I believe he just didn't find it. And he's going to find it. Do you remember the nice guy's name? Do Not the Cat? I just recently I saw that story. I don't remember where I watched it. But yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to follow. I'm interested. I'm wondering how he's going to do in boot camp. And once they all find out, once his drill instructors find out, they're going to thrash the heck out of him. You kidding me? Yeah, give us more information on that. Do Not the Cat if you have. I like this one right here. Oh, I thought someone I'd served videos. Got to get running before. Appreciate the videos once again. Got to get running before dinner. Can't wait to catch the next live session. Sean, Semper Fi, brother. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. Take your kids with you on that run. PT, good for all of us. Pendragon says, serving under a Navy captain, Vinlet. He was an enlisted Marine. He was an amazing leader. My other CO, Captain Schultz, was an E9 before an 06. Wow. Photographic mind, definitely. And a master seaman. Oh, he had a photographic mind. Wow, he went to E9 and then commissioned. That's very cool. There was even a time, some of you old timers on there tell me how true this is, where you could, I had one, I did have one gunny in my career that he did that in the Marine Corps though. He was a lieutenant and then gave up his commission and then enlisted. He was a gunny by the time I met him. Gunny Otto, if you're out there, anybody knows him, OTTO. Good dude, good Marine. But he was a lieutenant, and of course we dogged him. I must have been a staff NCO where I could kind of shoot the breeze with them, but he did that. Do not, the cat says, I do not know the captain's name. I believe he's around 30-ish. I think he said that too, 30 or 32 or something. The DI did respect his choice, but I'm sure he still got smoked in training. Yes, I can honestly say if I got a Army captain enlisting, I would smoke him every day. Yes, without a doubt. Welcome to the Corps. But good on him. I totally respect his decision, and I got to believe he's going to be a fine Marine. Infantry also. Was he logistics in the Army? I don't know why that sticks out. I think it was logistics maybe. Hiram, good to see you, brother. John Bassalon gave up a chance to be an officer and continued as a gunny. I remember that from the movie. Very cool. And in those days, those combat commissions, they happened a lot, but not too many people probably passed it up like John Bassalon did. Who? 777 says it's crazy seeing the Ukraine war in 4K. Yeah. Owen, awesome content. Thank you for your service and shipping out the recruit training in 9 days. Get some, Owen. Send me a message on Instagram so we can keep up with you, so we can feature you. Stay on it. Watch the videos. If you haven't watched them all yet, watch them and get ready. Again, what questions you have, ask us. Ask all of us in the comments right now. 9 days. I'm telling you that day I got picked up, I was in the DEP program for 11 months. I signed up 11 months early. Now, I was a Poolee that long, but my parents hadn't signed for like 6-7 months. Man, it was tough for them to sign. My mom signed before my dad. My dad just did not. Anyhow, so I was in it. And then let us know if you're Parris Island or San Diego. If you're a Hollywood Marine or a swamp Marine. Are you going to climb the mountains like men, or are you going to just wade through the swamps? Which one? So it took me forever. I was a delayed entry for 11 months. James Burnett. USR Major? Army. James, are you Army? Yeah. Specialist Burnett here. K-Trip 33, ARC Desert Storm. Did you get to enjoy the cluster? Yes, Desert Storm, that cluster. Yes, I was there. Desert Shield, Desert Storm, a little over 9 months. It was interesting. I was there as a combat engineer, team leader. Interesting. I learned a lot about not just the Marine Corps, but all the services. We all work together. Thanks for joining us, James. Hua. Pendragon, the Navy is completely different from the Marines. Even as an E2, I'd be able to speak with my CO all day during underway watch. It's a little different. Very rare do you see, does an E2, a PFC, have an opportunity to speak to an 06. And if they do, it's either for a real good reason or a real bad reason. Other than that, you don't hang out with the 06. Anderson, to all the shippers. Nice, Anderson. I haven't read it yet, but thanks for hitting them up. Don't bring too many items. A good pair of shoes and the clothes on your back is sufficient. Bring a prepaid phone card. So what are they doing for phone calls in boot camp nowadays? Anyone know? Owen says Parris Island and same situation. Been in debt for 9 months. Poolee for 6. You better have been running, Owen, and getting ready. Push-ups, pull-ups, 3-mile runs every day. Do it every day. You got 9 days. Go for it. Rework says, did I participate in Fallujah? Yes. I was in Fallujah. We're in Ramadi, got moved over to Fallujah halfway through. Rick Sanchez, what division do I join if I want to fly jetpacks? We have jetpacks? What service has jetpacks? Space Force. I'm guessing Space Force. I watched so many documentaries about it. Yes, Fallujah was nasty. the rework. Owen says, constant working out, no days off. Because in 9 days, you're not going to have any days off for 3 months, 13 weeks. Get some. Carlos says, my son is a Navy and on a submarine, and he says they're pretty chill. I guess because they need to be, since they're underwater. You got to be pretty chill. Give it up to them, the submarine guys, the submariners. I think I would go crazy down there, and they spend some time down there, months, underwater, without seeing daylight. So hopefully you like your crew. Tight quarters. Do Not Cat says, what were some pros and cons of joint training missions? Besides the constant ribbing of each other, which is a pretty fun part of it, just learning different ways to do the same thing. The end state was 99% of the time the same. This is the mission. This is what our mission accomplishment looks like. But doing it with joint services was just learning for everybody. And of course, everyone thinks their way is the best, but I think with the open mind, everybody learns, and we find out the best way to do it. So I always loved training with other services. I liked the Marines to see other services too, the young Marines to see just exactly why we do some of the things that we do. And my biggest one is, and I'll tell the story to the rest of my life. This is the difference between a Marine corporal and an Army corporal. I don't know about the other services, but I had to put a Marine on chow hall watch. We're in the field. He had to stand at the door and just count the Marines, it was Marines and Army as they came in. He was just keeping count. So it was 1, 2, 3, okay, hold it right there. Okay, 4 more. That was his job. I was told I had to get a Staff Sergeant, E6, to hold that post. No way in hell was I going to have a Staff Sergeant, an E6, who is either a platoon sergeant, platoon commander, or company gunny, count bodies going into the chow hall. And it was a long battle. And then he said, okay, well, sergeant, or corporal. Well, I finally ended up putting one of my PFCs on there because that's about the level of responsibility that a PFC can fully take on. So the responsibility level is different in the different services. Granted, we are smaller. It's harder to get promoted. So by the time they are a staff sergeant, they've been there and they've done that. And it's not as quick. I don't want to say it's easy because I don't think it's easy to get promoted anywhere in any service, but that was the equivalent at that time, during that time. A corporal and a staff, I wasn't putting a staff sergeant, again, to count bodies. All right, Anderson Ho says, if you want to train with other services and allied nations, join an Anglico. Yes, they do travel all over and work with everyone. In any of the operations, I spent most of my time in the Far East, and every time we'd go to Thailand or Philippines or Korea, it was always joint with other services and other countries. Learn a lot from other countries as well. How bad do you guys smell? I missed it. It just went up. How bad do you smell in the field? Desert Storm, I did go about 35, 40 days without actual running water shower, and it was never running water. It was a jug of water, but there was a time period we couldn't do that. We were in mop suits, so we were pretty ripe. We did the baby wipe showers. You got to wash all the dark places. Owen says, I got a question. Is it common for your receiving week get moved back during the summer? It is. It is common for your ship date or your receiving week to get moved for different reasons, summer and winter. In the summer, they get moved back because summer is the big platoons. Everyone just graduated high school. Everyone's eligible to go. So the summers are big. The winters are small. My time down there, my summer platoons were between 80 and 90 something. Winter platoons are about 40 and 50 recruits. So it could get moved for one of those reasons, numbers-wise. That's all. Cage Run, Trolling, Theon, Tenet, the internet. Never graduated from high school. How do I serve? Great question. And GED is, sometimes services take them, sometimes they don't. I want to believe all the other services right now are taking GEDs because of the recruiting goals. They haven't met the recruiting goals. The Marine Corps is still meeting recruiting goals, so I don't believe they're taking GEDs right now. But if you haven't gotten your GED, highly recommend you do it ASAP as possible. Get it done so you have that. And when the services open up, talk to all the recruiters. Are you taking GEDs? So you still can serve. Yes, rework it did get pretty nasty in mop suits. We even had to couldn't take the mop suit off to urinate. Pendragon, any emergency that involves our fuel getting hit, nuclear subs can literally tow the entire fleet into battle or to the food. Really? Submarines can pull a whole fleet? A nuke sub can pull those gigantic carriers too? Pendragon? A sub can pull a carrier. Wow. Do not the cat. What was the most difficult situation or scenario in your military career? Most difficult situation or scenario. So schools, somebody recently asked that in one of my posts. Was it you? Do not the cat? So physically, some of the schools I went to were pretty tough. McQuist was a very, very mentally and physically challenging school. Marine Corps instructor of water survival. That was intense. And I was in the best shape of my life. I was a drill instructor. So, BUDS training, we saw the BUDS training right next to us. Just a fence was separated us. Me either. So BUDS is an underwater diving school for, basic underwater dive school for the Navy SEALs. Intense as well. And I don't think their BUDS portion of their Navy SEAL training is as long as McQuist is. So we had to endure that just a little bit longer, but their SEAL training is intense. And I don't even want to, I don't know enough about it, but they're obviously beasts. But the McQuist was definitely, I thought I was going to die. A few times I saw a lot of black water or shallow water blackouts where we thought they were dead. The students did anyway. We started our class with, I didn't even know, 60, 70 Marines. We graduated like 12. Marines were dropping left and right, and these were awesome, awesome Marines. Some were drill instructors. We had every rank in there. It was intense. So that was tough. Mountain Leaders Course, winter and summer. Going to Bridgeport, California for cold weather training is intense. When you go as a battalion, you have 1,400 Marines, you're going through all this training, it's tough. But going to the leadership courses where it's just about 20 of you, it's even more intense. You're staying in the snow blizzard, snow caves. You're living off the mountains. You're fighting battles. Those two courses were intense. And this is the kind of weather that you're not just surviving because you're a mountain leader. You have to be able to lead your squad, your platoon into a fight. So you have to think about defensive perimeters, and you have to, at all the same time you are surviving, making your own water. I remember one morning it was so cold, we're on a peak of a mountain, we're doing crevasse training, where one Marine literally had to fall into a crevasse and the other one had to rescue. I remember standing on top of the crevasse, I was frozen. Could barely speak. My eyebrows, everything was frozen. I had a moment to put my hands in my pocket just to try to warm them up, and 2 or 3 sets of gloves. And this was kind of before Gore-Tex. They didn't have the high-speed gear that we have now, but my right hand got in, it was just starting to warm up a little bit. My left hand, it just would not go in. I kept jamming it. It wouldn't go in. I finally looked down to see what the problem was. My pinky was hanging out. I'm surprised I didn't break it off from being frozen, just snapping off. Probably would have felt better. That'd have been one less finger I had to warm up, and my hand would have fit in my pocket. But that's the kind of physical training that was very, very difficult. We even had to cross a river, and the river is not, it was a fast running river, but it was from the mountains, melted snow, so not only was it fast running, it was freezing cold, the ice floating down the river, and somebody had to get in, which meant we all had to get in. That was intense, and then we built a rope bridge, and we had to, so physically training, those 2-3 schools were very, very difficult. McQuist, oh, and I missed yours, buddy. Repeat your question, please. And then there's a mental aspect to all those as well. Comet is a completely different page. Do Not the Cat, that's mental as well. Physically, it's tough. Yes, patrolling for hours and all the stuff you're carrying, and jumping canals, depending on where you're at. Very physically challenging. That's why we push physical fitness so much. But mental, right? Seeing people killed in action, wounded in action, all that is definitely very, very tough. Owen says, what was your hardest part of boot camp for you? For me, the hardest part of boot camp, so I think what did help me is I did go in completely raw. I didn't know what to expect on day 1 or 2, and I went in with a buddy who knew all about it. We were friends in high school, and he kind of helped me through. No, don't worry, we're going to do this, and by this day we should be doing this. What got me motivated, and I hope this doesn't sound too sick or twisted, is seeing other people hurting mentally and physically more than me. I was hurting both physically and mentally, and I missed home. Great loving family that I left behind, didn't know what I was getting into. So mentally I was busted. But not enough to, some of these guys, I mean, they're bawling, they're crying. San Diego is right by the airport, and they were watching the planes, take off and land, and they wanted to be on them. So that motivated me to not go down that same road. I kept thinking the drill instructors can do a lot of things to us, but they cannot stop time. So I just completely turned it around and was like, they ain't breaking me, they're making me. And I just, at some point, knew that it was going to end. The pain was going to end soon. But the mornings, a quicker, easier answer, the hardest part for me was the mornings. I hated the mornings. I dreaded it. I was angry. I was like, every single morning, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Which is funny now, because decades later, I'm a morning guy. I'm the first one up in the house, driving everybody crazy. They're trying to be quiet, but if I sleep past 6 a.m., half the day's gone, and I'm frustrated because I slept in so long. So I got to believe that started in boot camp, and then, of course, follow-on training as a Marine. I love the mornings. I'm not a night person. 10 o'clock and 9 o'clock, I'm out. But I do love the mornings now. It completely changed everything in me. But I don't know if I was ever a teenager that slept till noon, but I did like to sleep in. So the mornings were difficult. Took me a little while, and later on I learned, you have the fire watch wake you up early, so I try to start my day. Reveille, I think it was 5:30, I don't remember, but I would get up at like 4:30 just so I can get in the right mindset prior to the day beginning, because your morning starts with the drill instructor screaming at you. Who would like that? Joe Warren, are the Marines strict? It just disappeared, Joe. Please put it back up there. Freedom Club, do you know Sergeant Major Brad Castle? I never knew him personally. Obviously, I knew of him throughout our careers. And so I ever talked to him or associated with him, and then he sent you your credit. Sorry, I answered the question before I read it, but nope, never served with him. Seems like an awesome Marine. And I think he still does JROTC. I think he's an instructor for JROTC somewhere. Carlos Diaz, my motivation was the Navy basic training was next to MCRD San Diego back in the day. You're old, Carlos Diaz. And watching the Navy struggling with their PT, which are basically Marine warm-ups. Amen. So what I heard about those days, Carlos, is, and it was probably on here where I heard it, they used to, a Navy guy would jump over the fence to escape Navy training and found himself in MCRD San Diego. And he tried to jump right back over to get back to the Navy. Was it up in training when I was there? Navy was active when I was there? Joe Warren, are the Marines strict about weight after boot camp? Great question, Joe. Yes, yes they are. And I know they have discussions on this. They have working groups on this constantly. I'm a bigger guy. I was always over my max weight and I think it's still the same at 6 foot. My max was 197, or no, 203. 203 pounds, and I'm always 220, 30, or 240. 197 was my max, 197, and I think I hit it twice. 197, I got down to 197 because my first sergeant, when I got orders to DI school, he would not let me leave to go to DI school overweight. He said, that's a bad way to start DI school. You'll never make it. So I did. I had to get down to, I had to stop working out, everything. Got down to 190 something, 195. And then once I became a drill instructor, you're on the move so much, I stayed at like probably right around 200 the whole time I was a drill instructor. So are they strict on it after boot camp? Yes, the answer is yes. And again, there is weight control. What I remember of weight control is BCP. You get put on BCP. What does BCP stand for? Body Composition Program. So if you weigh in, you're overweight. All commands are different. And being a bigger guy, I don't want to say I was more lenient on it, but I would recognize it right away and say, hey, the PFT's coming up, you got to be underweight. So they'd work on it prior to it. If they were over come weigh-in time, you can be put on BCP at the time 6 months. During those 6 months, you have to show improvement. If after those 6 months you gained weight or didn't lose any, they could kick you out of the Marine Corps. If after 6 months you did show improvement and you are losing weight, but still not under your max, they could extend you an additional 6 months. I think that may be how the system is still today. The things that have changed are the way they check for body fat. And it used to be the old tape method. They'd put a tape around your waist, your neck, and do some math and find out your body fat. Not the most accurate way. They give or take 6%, which is a lot when you're a bigger guy. I would always tape out, they call it. I'd tape out and I'd be fine. More accurate methods are, they have a set of calipers, is what they're called, and you pinch a couple spots, and that is supposed to gauge your body fat. Now they have even a newer system, and I don't know what it's called. If somebody does, please let us know, where they dip you in water. And that's supposedly the most accurate way to find out your body fat percent. So a long way to answer your question. Do they still take you? Is it still hard to maintain your weight, or is it still important after boot camp? 100%. Yes, it is. All right, John McJunkin, Carlos Diaz, the sergeant major, did make a video on that particular topic. What was that, the weight one? I forgot which one we were talking about, Carlos. About the chubby DI. Yes, I just did that one, that's right. John, on the video we saw of the chubby DI. And I was shocked, like, I talked to everyone, especially my DI buddies, like, what the heck is that? Thanks, JFR guy, likes my cup. Designed by my team, my wife. Look at that guy on there, backbone of the Corps right there as a sergeant. Stickers are available in the shop, coming soon. Shopify, check out the description on our page. So Major, Mr. Diaz was referring to the overweight drone instructor. Yes, sir. So yeah, amazing. And it's still out there. New videos are coming up. Memes are coming up. It is unfortunate to see a couple people were making excuses for the guy or the command even. And I got to think, if I was the first sergeant or sergeant major down there, I would not let him, I wouldn't assign him to a team. And we can't be hurting for drill instructors that bad right now. And I was even on a team with 3 drill instructors, and one went on the rifle range. So we had 2 drill instructors for a while. So I got to think there's a better way to do that instead of putting that Marine out there in front. For one, the recruits to see, but his peers and the rest of the world now, thanks to social media. So why would they set him up for failure like that? Someone said maybe he just got off light duty. Maybe he's a 100% disabled. Maybe there's a reason behind it, which there may be, but there's still no excuse. There's other Marines out there more qualified. 90% of DIs are volunteers. 90%, this was back in my day, 90% of recruiters are voluntold. So we might have to voluntold a couple of DIs, Marines, that you're going to be a drill instructor. So I think there's a better way. We got to do better. We got to do better than that. Owen says, I'm heading out for the night. Hopefully I can catch the stream one more time before I ship out, but thanks for the answers and have a good night. You too, brother. Again, stay motivated. Come back. We'll do 9 days. We'll do another live stream or 2. So keep an eye out. Stay motivated. Read your Marine Corps knowledge, general orders. Learn your general orders before you go. Definitely. Think real quick, if you're still here, Owen, my daughter, before she went to boot camp, she wrote the general orders above her bed. She was in the top bunk and read them every night before she went to boot camp. That's one less thing you got to worry about while you're there. So the more you know before you go, the better. 1% better every day. Get some, Owen. Do not the cat. You ever consider going to airborne or air assault school? 100%. Everybody wants to go to air assault school. They just don't have quotas for Marines. Nobody jumps into combat anymore, so now it's kind of a cool factor. You want the scuba bubbles, but every Marine wants to go. I believe 90% of the Marines want to go. We just don't get the quotas. We don't have the opportunity. It's an Army school. So yes, I would love to. Do not the cat. If you can get me a quota to that school, I'll still go. All right, got them all memorized already. There you go, Owen. Let's see, work on your ranks. Make sure you know all the ranks, be able to describe every single enlisted rank and every single officer rank, to include the Navy. You got to describe them. Keep studying, brother. Rick Sanchez, I've thought about airborne, but they got lasers now. Again, nobody jumps out of planes in the hot zone, hot LZ anymore. With yes, today's technology. But yeah, I would love to go jump out of a plane, a perfectly good plane. It'd be fun. Most drill instructors push themselves much more harder to make height and weight standards. I believe that too. And again, I'm thinking that drill instructor is going to lose it quick. Being a drill instructor, he's got to be brand new. Maybe he had an injury. Again, who knows the full story? It's just not a good look. Ty, when I went to airborne, there were a lot of Marines, riggers that went through it with us. Yeah, so those Marines are recon Marines, and some guys just get a hookup, get a quota to go. Again, none of them need that qualification, especially anymore. But the Marines go to the Army school. The Marine Corps doesn't have their own airborne school. Watch out for the black hats, Owen. John McJunkin. What's a black hat? Watch out for the black hats. Who are the black hats? The officers? Maybe. Black belts, seniors. The seniors, Big Daddy. So you gotta, as long as you don't piss off Big Daddy, the black belt, you're okay. Sergeant Major, here him ask, did you ever thread a cylinder into a bolt on a deployment as opposed to during training like some time ago? Thread cylinder into a bolt. No. I don't even know what that means. thread a cylinder into a bolt. I'm guessing you're talking about rifles. Oh, Ty said the Black Hats are the airborne cadre in airborne school. Do they thrash you? The Black Hats, are they the beasts of it? yeah, I'm learning all kinds of stuff. The Black Y are the jump school senior instructors. There you go. All right, good to know. That's very cool. Black Hats. What's the height limit? Rework says, what's the height limit for Marines? Is there a height limit? I know there is for pilots. And there's a height limit for MPs. You have to be a certain height to be, is it MPs or just K9? There are minimum height standards, and I think there's maximum height standards for pilots. I'm not sure what they are, though. If anyone knows, share. Oh, yeah, I remember that there's the shortest Marine ever was 4'11", first, yeah, 4'8", something. He was extremely small. Infantry, too, right? Was he infantry, or just they highlighted him for being able to make the hikes? The pack he was carrying was just as big as he was, but he made it. Motivating. Smallest Marine in history. Anderson Ho says, maybe the Navy corpsmen, when they are in the service, uniforms are coming after you with all the required shots. Maybe the Black Hats, Navy corpsmen. 4'7". That guy was 4'7", and he made it through boot camp. Can you imagine? Because everyone's gear is the exact same. Just, I mean, his boots are smaller, so they'll be a little lighter. His camis will be a little lighter, but everything else is exactly the same. Flak and helmet, rifle. Man, 4'7". And he made it through. And I think I did watch a clip on it, I think on LinkedIn or something. And he said he just put his head down and just kept trudging, never quit or gave up. I mean, that's how you had to do it. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing that what people can go through, the challenges. Like that Army officer going to Marine Corps boot camp. That's going to be a challenge every day for him. John says, what were the most difficult part of the NCO or senior NCO Academy programs? It's a great question, too. We haven't talked a lot about NCO school. So when I was a corporal, it was NCO school. Corporals and sergeants were together. And I like that. I think it was great because we got to learn from the sergeants, right? We were away from the E3 and below. And it taught me as a young corporal, I was already looking to what do I need to do to become a sergeant. So I think that helped. I know they're separated now, corporal's course, sergeant's course. Difficult was, PT wasn't. Again, we talked about that last slide. Every school you go to, there's PT, so you got to be ready. The test and passing the test. Marine Corps tests nowadays, I think, are a lot more difficult. Back in the day, even the career course and the advanced course, when I went to that, it was, you just needed to make 80 to graduate. 80's gravy. But I think they're a lot more intentional now. And actually, because there's nothing worse than when your instructor comes up there and says, all right, I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you about the M250 cal. What I teach you in class is not what you're going to do once you get out to the fleet. Then why teach it like that? Or this has changed now, but because we got to test you this way, I'm going to teach you this way, but I'll tell you how it's really done. You know what I mean? It's we have to do better at our education, and I got to believe that they are. As I was exiting out the Marine Corps, that's when they just had the E9 Academy, the Sergeant Major Academy for the Marine Corps. We didn't have it. The Army did, and we would send one Sergeant Major to the Army Sergeant Major Academy a year. So with 300 plus Sergeants Major, it was hard to get into that class. We've finally developed our own, which I think is great. So every rank now, there's even an E3. I don't know if they call it a seminar or they call it, but there's a school for the E3s, and then Corporal's course, Sergeant's course, all the way up to E9. So I think we're getting a whole lot better with our PME, Professional Military Education. And we talked about that new MOS, the faculty advisor. I'm glad to see that the faculty advisors in those academies are getting college credit for the courses that they're teaching and they're giving. Yes, Yeti standard for everyone must be the same. Concur. Whatever we're talking about, the standards should be the same for everyone. Anderson Ho says, when I went through Corpus course and the Enlisted Supply Intermediate course, ESIC, all tests were closed book and no notes were allowed. I think they were all closed book tests. I don't remember any of them being open. Engineer operations course was very difficult, a lot of math. So the schools were none of them were easy. And it got you back in that mindset. And that's what, again, I wish I would have taken more college while I was active duty, just to keep you in that mind. You're always learning, man. You could always learn. Yeah. Not keeping your feet clean and changing your socks. That is really bad. That is really bad. Talking about boot camp, yes, if that was that question, can do anything. If you in Vietnam, they had jungle rot in their feet, you're out of commission. You need your feet, change your socks. That's why we joke with the corpsmen, change your socks. Do you change your socks? Doc, my back hurts. Did you change your socks? It's as funny as it is, you have to take care of your feet. If you can't walk, you're worthless. Rework says, what was the funniest moment in the field? No, there's too many, way too many field moments. And a lot of them probably aren't appropriate for a TV like this. Good thing we didn't have cell phones back then. Some funny training moments. Did tell a joke one time, and this was in Desert Storm. It was intense. I hope I didn't share it already on one of the lives, or if I had or not. We had a brand new lieutenant. We're on a tarmac somewhere waiting to fly out. And those of you who are active duty, you know what that can entail. We probably got there at 04 and probably flew out at 2000. So it took a while. And, falling asleep, waking up. The lieutenant was standing up the whole time with his weapon at the ready. He was ready to be Captain America and save the world. So, of course, like bored Marines, I'm sure we were throwing rocks. We probably wrestled a little bit. We were doing all the things that the lieutenant didn't want us to do. And we were laying there all on our backs at this point, and it was nightfall now and still waiting on the helicopters. I told a super dumb joke, super dumb, and I'll tell it just so you hear it, but it's out of nowhere. It's dead silent, somewhere sleeping somewhere. Lieutenant was still standing up. And I just said out of nowhere, a piece of string walks into a bar. And I paused like a minute or two. No one said anything. So he walks up to the bar and asks the bartender for a beer. Pause again a long time. I won't do it now for the sake of time. But I drug this out over, I don't know how long, 20 minutes. Bartender looks at him and says, "We don't serve your kind in here." Another long pause. Lieutenant at one point said, "That's enough." Like trying to get me to stop talking. That's enough. So the piece of string goes outside. Another long pause. "Lieutenant, that's enough," I said. He probably didn't even know who was saying it because it's pitch black out now, and he's standing probably looking around trying to see who's telling this story. Piece of string, excuse me, ties himself in a knot, frays his ends up a little bit, goes back in the bar. Long pause. "Lieutenant, I said that's enough." Now he goes up to the bar, asks the bartender again, "Can I get a beer?" Long pause. Bartender looks at him. Says, "Hey, aren't you that piece of string that was just in there? That was just in there ordering a beer?" Long pause. "Lieutenant, that's enough." Punchline. I'm afraid not. And that's a joke. So as dumb as that is, everyone started laughing, rolling uncontrollably. Lieutenant's getting madder and madder. That's enough. Stop it. And which even made us laugh even harder. So times like those, again, dumb as it is, was awesome. All right, Darius Jones, where you at, brother? I saw it as I was telling my dumb joke. Put it back up there. Dizzy. Thanks so much for your service. If they bring back the draft, I'll return. I'm with you. Mathematician. Son is aerospace mathematician. Wow. Ryan Machado from the Marine. John, what are your thoughts on the armed services having an interbranch service training, Marine DIs training Army soldiers? I think we can learn from all that, John. I really do. Again, as much as I dog the other services, I truly believe in one team, and we can learn from each other. I tell my daughter all the time, one of my other daughters is in an Army JROTC unit in high school, and as much as she hears me, and we dog their unit because they're Army, they're not Marines, and this is why they do it. Everyone does things different, and that's standards are different, expectations are different. So I think it's nothing but good can come out of it. If we learn something from a different service and we utilize it, great. If we don't, you can always learn. So I think it's a great idea. And I didn't even hear about that. I didn't know that's what we're doing. Marine DIs training Army recruits. That would be fun. That would absolutely be fun for the Marines. Maybe not so much for the soldiers. Yes, Carlos, the dude is 19-year-old Lance Corporal. Darius Jones. He definitely deserves a promotion and some money. Definitely. Awesome. Darius Jones, Conroe, Texas. What else? Yeah, put it back up. Darius, you engineer? 7th ESB, Engineer Express? All right. Good old days. Remember the stands, how we'd fill the stands up? It was my wife and maybe one other person's girlfriend. But it was fun. We had some good times playing that ball. Rework. Do you get to keep a retired dog that was part of the Army dog unit? What? Do you get to keep the retired dog that was part of the Army dog unit? Not sure what you're talking about. Rework. Jack, what does SFMF mean? Can anyone answer that? Semper Fi, my friends. Are you a Marine, Jack? If you're a Marine, I think you know what it means. Ryan Machado, you're a gladiator? Jack, SFMF, Semper Fi, my friend, is one of the meanings of it. You're not a Marine. So SF, Semper Fi, that's a Marine motto. It means always faithful. It's Latin. It means always faithful. We use it all the time. You see a Marine on the street, active duty, old guy, you see a hat, something. Jack is in high school. Semper Fi, always faithful. It's our motto. Use it all the time. The MF, well, could mean a couple of different things. For our PG-rated YouTube channel, it means my friend. And that is we truly mean that as well. Semper Fi, always faithful, my friends. And that's a community. That's what we like to bring out. Darius, let's hear it, brother. Where you at? The gridiron. What are you up to? What have you been up to? That was a long time ago. 7th ESB, the good old days. If anyone remembers my story, making the All-Marine football team with 7th ESB might have been the reason I extended and ended up doing decades after that. That football right there, playing with the 7th Engineer Express. So let us know what you've been up to, Darius. Linky Toast 13, checking out unit tomorrow, SFMF. All right, checking out. It means you're checking out? Checking out of your unit? You're out? Semper Fi, Jack. Appreciate you, brother. Sorry if you were the handler of a dog, do you get to keep the dog when the dog retires? Great question. The rework, I have seen that happen. I think it's a long process and you get on a waiting list, but I think that is possible. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but how great would that be to be able to keep the dog that you served with? If the dog is not retiring, obviously, the Marine, once your time is up in that unit, you move to another unit, or the dog. John says, I think you should be the Marine Corps Fitness. I think you should be the Marine Corps Fitness with Air Force Chow, Army Quick Promotions, Navy Football, and Coast Guard ports and stations. There you go. Mixing the best of all the services. Good idea, John. I'd vote for you. Marines. So, Lanky Toast, you're out. You're getting out. What's next? What's your plans? What is your next endeavor? How long did you do, and what are you going to do? Very, very interesting. This is a transition time that is tough. We talk a little bit about transition. We do want to talk a whole lot more about it. So let's hear it, Lanky Toast. Let's hear what you got. What's on the horizon for you? And thank you for your service. Darius says, I'm an assistant warden working for Texas Department of Criminal Justice. My Marine Corps values have taken me far. Darius, hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn. Please, let's connect. Let's talk. So glad you're here, brother. Ron Machado and the bigger gun. Y'all ever? No, never did that. Carlos Diaz, sorry, I got to DD. Hope to catch you. DD Mile? Oh, Designated Drive. All right, out with the boys. We'll do, brother. I plan on doing it Wednesdays and Saturdays. So see you, Carlos. Be safe, be aggressive. Semper Fi, my friend. Jack, so as basic, would you know PT scores, suppose? Would you know PT scores, suppose? No, you're asking me, do I know what the PT scores are? First class, second class, third class passing and above was for 300. I think now pull-ups you can do more than, or perfect score is 23, used to be 20. So the scores have been changing over the years. It's not easy to get a perfect PFT score. I never did my entire time. I never got a perfect. I had 3 points away twice. Once as a recruit, once as a drill instructor. And it was the run. The pull-ups and crunches, never, I always max those out, but never the run. 10 seconds away, 2 times in a row. Not in a row, but 2 different times. John says, transition out of the military can be tough, especially when you don't have any plans. Amen. John, that's why. You know anybody that's transitioning, when any of you do start to transition, come back. Stay with us. We are going to be talking about it. Reach out. There's a lot to know. I thought I knew enough when I retired. I did not. Not even close. Okay. Do not the guy says, do you follow or watch Marine meme pages or influencers or some funny communities out there? Yeah, you know, I'm an older guy. Social media is not my forte. I do watch a little YouTube, and if something pops up, catches my eye right away. Obviously, military stuff. Not a TikToker. I don't do anything else. But when I see a good Marine YouTube video or any service YouTube video, or better yet, if somebody sends me something. I don't do Facebook, so every now and then someone will send it to me and I can't even watch it. But I couldn't name an influencer for you. Very minimal. I did talk about benefits, that we would talk about benefits. Maybe we'll save that for Wednesday, because that's a lot as well. And again, and here's what I'll say about it. What we need to, China, if you do watch the news, I do try to, and depends on what you watch, but do your own research. China is a threat, so we need to purchase our own land. If you don't own land, Chinese are buying it out. In Hawaii, they're trying to buy more than the Hawaiians there. You own more than a percentage of that state. Next thing you know, they're going to own it. So purchase land, do your research. That's one of your benefits as a veteran. So take advantage of it. I do remember old Gunny, old Vietnam guy, wearing 29 palms, doing a CAX or something, and he said he had to go out to check on his house. I said, "You own a house in 29 palms? Are you crazy? Who would want to live out here?" He said he bought a house in every duty station he was at. Turns out, smartest guy in the room, right there. He lived in them long enough to. Some of them are you have to live in it for a year before you can rent it out, and there's rules to it. But he had 2 houses in 29 Palms. Again, at the time, as a young Marine, I didn't want anything to do with 29 Palms. It was miserable. But smarter than your average. Every place he went, he owns land, and who knows where he is today. That was a long time ago, but to have property, part of the land that he had been defending his whole life, so it doesn't get any smarter than that. Any millionaire, no billionaire's portfolio, you'll see real estate. So it's definitely something to think about. John says, I remember staff sergeant helping us with several of us were getting out of the Corps. He explained to us, find you a new career path, don't fail to plan. Amen. Again, you know, it's what they say is while you're on active duty, that's number one, that's priority. So that's where your focus is at. You have blinders on, you're thinking about your unit and your mission and mission accomplishment. And I did as well. I'm guilty as heck. I didn't think about after. And while you're in, you're told pretty much what to do, when to do, how to do it, 24/7. You PCS to a different duty station. All of a sudden, you get to your new duty station. You automatically have a couple hundred friends, your co-workers, a place to live, and where you're going to eat, and everything's set up for you. Your whole career, whether you do 4 or make it a career, and then to get out where you don't have the base access that you have, or you're close to a base, you're going to go back home. You don't have anything set up. No one's telling you when to be to work. So it's scary if you think about it. And if you fail to plan, like John just said, you're gonna plan to fail. So there is a lot that goes into it. I'm guessing and I'm hoping that all the services are getting better with it. Luckily, John had that had a staff sergeant that sit him down and helped him out prepare. I told this before. I took my TAP classes, my retirement classes, in Afghanistan. Do you think I was listening to everything that every one of those presenters presented? I had other things on my mind. And again, I thought, nah, I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. I've been a Marine forever. I know what I'm doing. It's not that easy. All right, here it says 11 general orders, Century, yes, our major self-repetitive drilling does make the difference in the world. Absolutely. Sean Ryan was a SEAL. What are we talking about? Did I miss something? Ryan, I know, but he was a SEAL. John's exactly, this is why we were told not to fail to plan. That's it. Again, plan for your exit. The exit strategy. What are you going to do? My immediate exit strategy, just FYI, it was set up. I think I told last live that I retired on a Friday, had my retirement party. It was either the same day or the next day, Saturday, and flew out Sunday. Or no, I think I retired on a Friday, retirement party Friday night. Yeah, same day, and then flew the next morning to go to school for a week and then started my job. So the transition, there was none. I missed it. I'm still working. So when it came time for the real transition stuff, medical, dental, benefits, all that stuff, I had no idea. So Ranky Toast, if you need help, brother, reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and we'll connect, and I'll tell you everything I know, and I've learned a lot, and I've been retired now over 10 years. So I got a lot. And that's what we want to do with this while we're building this community, is build a real life community where we help people transition out of the services, all services, all branches and their families. We want to make that transition. We learned the hard way, and it was all my fault. 100% accountable for the way I transitioned out. Again, I thought I knew it all. I didn't need medical, the benefits. I'm still strong. Hard-headed, right? I didn't want to ask for help, which a lot of you are exactly the same. That's wrong. You need it. All right. Black hat is slang term for Army AIT. O'Malley. As Staff Sergeant told us, in the Marines, if you fail, fail the plan, you're going to play. Do you watch Sean Ray? Where was I in 2002? Where was I in 2002? O'Malley. 2002, let me see, 2000, I was still in Okinawa. I got to Okinawa in 1999 to the sergeant's course, instructor. I just finished up with the academy. I did the sergeant's course, career course, and advanced course. I was an instructor for all three. So 3 years, 99 to 2002, I was at the academy. And then after the academy, stayed in Okinawa. We got an IPCOT, overseas, consecutive overseas. We stayed there another 3 years. I went to 9th ESB. I was company gunny for Alpha Company, H&S Company, Bulk Fuel Company, O'Malley. I was there in 9th Engineers. There you go, O'Malley. We were in 9th ESB together. Again, I started out with Alpha Company. Still at Hanson, I did. Just moved right down the street from the academy to ESB. I started out with Alpha Company, company gunny for a while. I did some time in Bulk Fuel Company. They needed a company gunny. That was interesting as an engineer. And then I ended up in H&S Company as their company gunny before. What have you been up to, O'Malley, and where were you? What company were you in 9th ESB? And what? I never forget a face. I'm terrible with names, but I feel the same. What are you doing now, O'Malley? That's been a few years as well. Do Not the Cat. Have a safe day. I'm out. Thanks, Do Not the Cat. Appreciate you. Semper Fi, my friend. Armor. So you're 2111. So you're with H&S Company. Was I the company gunny when you were armor in H&S? Those good times. Really loved Okinawa. We do miss it. My family misses it. Kids enjoyed it. I am in the union pipe fitter. That's got to be, what part of the country are you in, O'Malley? Pendragon says, very first active duty Marine I ever met. He was USMC Infantry Master named Top Rice. I know a Top Rice. O'Malley says, I can't put my finger on it, but it'll come to me. You're in Arizona now. All right. Got some friends, real good friend in Arizona right now. Big O, surprised you're not on here. Sergeant Major Brian Olay is in Arizona. Lay Cookie, this one goes way back. We went to engineer school together, Okinawa together. That was my buddy that came in a private, left a private. What part of Arizona? Did I see that already? Rework says, I run at 5 a.m. Great with the podcast and a coffee afterwards. Running at 5 a.m. That motivates right there. Jack Weatherman, former 0331 here, now LE. Your videos really make me reminisce. Oh, law enforcement, LE. Thanks for your service, brother. Thanks for what you do for our law enforcement community. Makes me reminisce, Sergeant Major. Thanks, brother. Thanks for being here. And I hope you're all subscribed. Appreciate it. Love to see law enforcement on here. I never pass up an opportunity to thank them if it's at a football game, a parade, My daughter just had a color guard performance last night. It's just, thank you guys. Thank you for putting your life on the line for us every day. Be safe. Be aggressive, but be safe. In high school, Chandler. Oh, Chandler. That's in Chandler. I don't know Arizona that well. Obviously, I've been to Yuma in 20. Is that near Phoenix and Gilbert? Thinking about joining our buddies somewhere out in Arizona. John, you play the kazoo? I'm guessing the Marine Corps band doesn't need a kazoo player. You never know. Got to pop smoke. Semper Fi O'Malley, thanks for being here, brother. We'll see you next time. Stay cool out there in Arizona. I know it's hot. Oh, Afide. Afide? Guam Stacker. Good morning, Sergeant Major. Is it morning in Guam right now? You're on the other side of the equator? Good morning, brother. Glad you can make it. Inner peace. I got off work a couple hours ago. I just want to drop in, say Semper Fi, going to the gym, get some. Good evening. Get some inner peace, drum soul. What are you working today? That is pure motivation right there. What is today? Saturday. What do you work on a Saturday? No days off. Remember that. You're on that 5-day workout? 5-day. And strangely enough, I remember I said no days off. I had to take a day off today. Chores got in the way. So if I had planned this, then a day off, or what if my day off was Sunday? That would be 2 days off. That's why don't plan a day off. Yard work got the better of me today, and I never got to go to the gym. So yes, tonight I'll be doing some push-ups before I hit the rack. Definitely. Get some. Top Rice would come into our tents during the war, and we'd share our alcohol with them, and we had the very best in the country in my tent. Whatever it takes to get you through. Pendragon, Top Rice. I knew a Top Rice, clearly not the same one. Guam Sector. Yes, it is. How far I die? Yes, I got it. How far I die? I served with you in 3-3. Still bummed it got deactivated. Me too. I am. And they'll be bringing it back, and I was very, very fortunate. My wife hooked it up so we could go see the deactivation of it. And actually, we have a short of them casing the flag. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe and check out that short on the deactivation of 3-3. It was a sad day. It was cool to see all the people, old 3-3ers, America's Battalion Marines and sailors there that day. It'll be back. Spent some time in Guam, yes. Had some, couple different field ops. Was that with 2-5? Excuse me, I think it was when I was with 2-5. We went to Guam a couple times. It was. People are awesome there. Oh my God, they took care of us. The barbecues we had, Marine Drive, right down the center of town. Awesome. Loved it over there. Inner Peace says, legs and cardio. I'm 48, trying to be like 25-year-old Marine. I was. Still 300 PFT-er. Awesome. I can't say that. Still to this day, I can't get a 300 PFT. I don't remember. 48, you're still young. Inner Peace. What was the name of the camp? We went to, in Guam, we did, I remember we tore down Anderson Field, right? We're the unit that came in there and got to tear down Anderson Field. They're going to rebuild it or something. So we got to smash windows and kick in doors and put C4 on the doors, Anderson Air Base. And then we also had, we had the unfortunate, we almost lost a Marine out there swimming. We, on a break, on a hike, we found this little inlet and went out, and the undertow current, you know where that's headed. We weren't drinking or anything, but just the undertow was so bad. My company commander, little guy, went out there and pulled the Marine. Luckily, the Marine was unset and he had long hair. Pulled him up by his hair out of the water, and we all helped bring him back to safety, all cut up from the reef. I don't know why I remembered that story right then, but Guam was beautiful, really did. Love everything about it. Have you ever ridden? Yeah, what are you doing in Guam? Now that are you from there? You got a job out there? Very interesting. Hey, John Morris, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Good evening. Do you think the USMC should do more development in the USMC boxing team? I'm not sure. I did play all marine sports, but it was just football. But definitely, I think if we're not developed, if we're not still sending Marines to the Olympics, and I don't know enough about it if we're not, but definitely put everything we got into it. How great would that be? I know if you get on one of those all Marine teams, that is TAD for years. It could be, depending on how good you are. So if our boxing team is not developed enough, shoot. I think we have jiu-jitsu teams, baseball, soccer. We're a big part of the soccer program in helping select the players that went on to the all-Marine team. So I think I assumed the boxing team was right up there with the track team, all those all-Marine teams. Yes, develop it. Get after it, John. Find out. You make it better. Server 3-2, and it's Bryce. Good to see you again, Bryce, with the guy from Guam. No one could pronounce his name, unfortunately. Let's hear your name, Guam Stacker. I am from Guam, says Guam Stacker. I enlisted. Then came back home, and now I'm a bartender. Still working. Rework says, what's the coolest vehicle you have ridden in the military? All the new desert vehicles, the Buffalo, I can't remember the name of all of them, the jacked up Humvees. I liked all of them. I did drive a tank one time, broken down on the side of the road, down Blue Diamond when I was with 2-5. I was a first sergeant. We had to get it back safely to base. I didn't know how to do it at all. None of us did. We figured it out. I don't even know what kind of tank it was. It was a troop carrier, one I hadn't seen before, but I did drive that down Blue Diamond Road safely. We made it back safe and sound. We had plenty of security, but it was pretty intense driving that. But I like all the vehicles, the Buffaloes. I keep saying that one. That's the only name I can remember. Cougar, maybe. They're pretty awesome. Never really got to ride into the motorcycles or the ATVs or the four-wheelers, the dune buggies and all that. But we got some pretty cool vehicles. Guam Stecker says, I'm not sure if you remember, I was the corporal. Ogo! Yeah, I remember Ogo. How you doing, brother? S1. Now I just go by Raymond. Yes, I remember you, Ogo. Good to see you. Ramon, hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn. Definitely, yes. Yes, I remember Ogo. Awesome. So yeah, that's what this community is all about. You better be a subscriber, Ogo. Shadow Clause 1 time says, what advice would you give as a reservist going on their first deployment? Japan. Lucky. You get to go. 067106, is that calm? What advice would I give to a reservist? Stay on as much active duty as you can. And if you do love it when you go on this deployment, are you going on a MEU or just to Japan? Where are you going? Okinawa? If it's a MEU, you're going to absolutely love it. Being on ship is great. Or Camp Fuji, Tokyo, you're going to mainland, or you're going in Japan, and I think get everything out of it that you can. If there's any schools or opportunities to do something while you're on the deployment, do that as well. See as much of active duty as you possibly can. I think you're going to want to go active duty. I don't know what your civilian job is. Don't touch the Habusaki. Come on, Bryce. Everyone's got to try it at least once. It is dangerous, though. Habusaki, those you don't know, is a sake with the snake in the bottle. What do you think about the Marines getting rid of their tanks? I wasn't a tanker, but I don't like that that we got rid of them, and it's due to, is everyone still there? Oh, I just had a little timeout thing. I don't like it. The rework, again, why did we do it? It's got to be, it has to do with money, budget, their use. Was it still, did it make sense in our current combat status? Or are they still an asset? I got to believe that we did tons and tons of research before we did. But I tell you, I loved some tanks as infantry on the ground. Following in behind the tanks was always very, very comforting. Pendrang said, my advice to anyone before you go on deployment is don't forget to put fuel stabilizers in your car's fuel tank so the gas doesn't go bad. Very interesting. If you, okay, I just lost everything on screen now. If you guys are still there, stay with me. Yeah, I just lost my big screen up there, but not a problem. If you're still with me, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. I'm not sure. And you can't call one of them. Annie, smells like a Marine in combat. Machado, yes. Taking our tanks makes our core less sufficient in my book. I think so too. I got to believe that, John. I think I'm with you. I don't know enough about it. Again, I've been away from it for over a decade now, but I gotta believe that it's not good. Thanks, John. Let me know. I'm still there. I just can't see it on my external screen. Not a problem. I can't see the comments though, which I guess is all we need. John Morris, how do we convince recruiters to re-enlist us? I'm a veteran receiving VA benefits and I'm willing to forego it. Yeah, you know what, John Morris, I'm with you, brother. How do we? There's got to be a better way. It's got to be easier, and we're going to start our own, the SFMF Corps, and we'll go fight wherever we need to fight. We'll be the first to fight, the new first to fight. There's got to be. We again, something else we got to do better. And if you ask me, I'm with you. There are Marines that get out for different reasons and realize that they need to go right back in. Even as a retiree, I would go back in. And it's the time of war, needs of the Marine Corps. Or that, a sabbatical, right? If it's right after you've done back-to-back deployments and you need out for a little while, take a sabbatical, 2, 4, 6, 10 years, whatever it is, as long as you maintain your physical fitness and your whatever your MOS is, your skills and knowledge, then you should be allowed to come right back in. Like the French Foreign Legion. MOS is also decommissioned. So some MOSs do decommission, and it makes you wonder. I think even my daughter's one was legal. She was a court reporter, a stenographer. They decommissioned that. It makes you wonder, and how do we get Anderson Ho? Wait until Taiwan pops off. Taiwan pops off. You're right, Anderson. I mean, come on. That's back to owning more property. And it's an election year. Come on. We got to. Naval beach landings are so cool. Yes, they are. The rework, I had been on a couple of those. The LCAT, is that what they're called? All kinds of different, I can't remember some of the names of the boats we went on, but LCAT definitely, the air hovered one. Landed with those a few times on the Mew. Pretty loud and slow and bulky, but it was pretty awesome what they could do. The small landing crafts from the Army, I know we've landed a few times on those, just like you see in the movies, the tailgate drops, or the tongue, the ramp. They drop the ramp and we all get off. It's pretty intense. The one thing about our Corps is that we are the only branch that is not only self-sufficient but self-contained, as well as on land, in the air and on sea. And I just lost everything again. That is a difference, and that is significant, and that's what makes us the first to fight. Again, that's a debate with some special forces. There's small individual groups that may get there before Marines, but as a Marine Corps, we're the first to fight because we are self-sustained, air, land, and sea, and we can get to the fight in a day where it takes other services, because they're bringing much more gear and equipment and personnel. It takes them a little longer. Delman said all of them in the homeless shelter I've been to. But I'm telling you, veterans, the veterans that can still serve, the military age males that can still serve, they should be able to come right back in if they meet all the requirements. And it should be a much easier process. I don't get it. Why would we not? Why wouldn't we not let someone back in that still has the will to fight, and the physical fitness and the mental capacity and everything it takes to help defend our nation? I'm with all of you on that. There's got to be a quicker, easier way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another great live. Pleasure being here with you. Pleasure sharing these experiences. Thanks for the questions and the comments, and hope you are all subscribed. Remember to share with your friends and neighbors and family. Get them all subscribed and help continue to grow this community. We'll definitely see you next time. Wednesday I'm shooting for, so keep an eye out on the shorts. Have a good night. God bless and Semper Fi, my friends. Era.